Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, YAHAWAH, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Double honors to the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. And I wanted to do a lesson going into the sons of God who are synonymous with the giants in Genesis, the 6th chapter, which we know that topic is centered around much, mythology and evil as the philosophies of these heathen and these creation myths and all of the garbage that we were always to stay away from, over the time has been entered into the understanding of the Holy Scriptures. Okay, this is a comment from one of my latest news and prophecies, as in the days of Noah. And I went into the topic of the sons of God, as, the flood coming was centered around the behavior of the sons of God, which are Adam's descendants through Seth. And that's what we're going to pretty much break down today, because it's hard for a lot of you Israelites to break, the notion of these ancient myths of giant Nephilim, Annunaki, Greek gods, okay, angels, jumping down from heaven and coming down and having sex with women, okay, and all of that garbage that, many of us was studying, all right, before we got into this truth. And you have to wash and renew your mind from this garbage, because it has nothing to do with the Holy Scriptures. Now, this particular brother, I believe it's a brother here, Mitchie, left this message, okay, or this comment stating, just wondering, so if there were no Nephilim, what are all the bones that are being found all over the place of these giants? Okay, now, if you want to go into the study of giants, all right, that's on you. All right, now, what I will say is, before the flood, men were significantly bigger, all right, and of higher stature than us now. We're in a very, very low and weak state right now, as the earth is in a very destroyed state. As a matter of fact, let's get the book of 2nd Esdras, the 5th chapter, in the 52nd verse. All right, speaking of how the earth has waxed weak with age, and the earth is not billions and trillions of years old. Okay, but it says, say unto her, wherefore are unto they whom thou hast now brought forth like those that were before, but of less stature. All right, we're still men and women, we still have children, but we're of less stature. Okay, it says, and she shall answer thee, all right, that they that be born in the strength of youth are of one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age, when the womb felleth, are otherwise. Now, you can take that as the earth is likened unto the woman. Okay, you put seed in the earth. Okay, well, the womb is felling. Now, there's research that when women wait into their late 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s to have children, all right, the children are more sickly, which I believe I'm a victim of that, as my mother had me when she was, late 30s, so I have a lot of ailments. Okay. And that's a study. You can look that up on your own. But also, you can take the woman as the earth, and as the earth is waxing older, okay, they that are born in the time of age, when the womb felleth, are otherwise. We're not of that same stature that our forefathers were at the time of Adam, Seth, Noah. Okay. Remember, after the flood, eventually it would come to a point where we didn't live as long as we once lived. We started to pretty much wax weaker and weaker and weaker, all the way up to this point where the creation and the creature is groaning to be established back, all right, into that immortal, original state. So they that are born in the strength of youth are of one fashion. Okay, this is why in the ancient world they knew that women should have children, all right, around 12, 13, 14, all right, no later than 16, 17. Okay, that was how things were done back then, all right? And people may frown up at that, but, I didn't write history, okay? I'm just merely telling you how it was done. If you got a problem, take that up with the Lord, all right? I'm not the one who gives a woman, all right, her cycle at the age of 12, 13, and 14, which represents she's ready to bear children. Anyway, it says, consider thou therefore also how that ye, Ezra's, all right, at the time of the, the Persian Empire, all right, Babylon as well. When Babylon fell, we went back and rebuilt the temple. Ezra's was more like a galvanizer. He was a preacher. He went out and preached to the people, to get them in the spirit to rebuild the temple. It says, consider thou therefore also how that ye are less stature than those that were before you, and so are they that come after you less than ye, as the creatures which now begin to be old have passed over the strength of youth. Okay. Then said I, Lord, beseech thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, show thy servant by whom thou visited thy creature. And the creature is ultimately the Israelites, the chosen vessel, okay, of all creation. Now, when you deal with that, all right, this word stature, let's get the word stature definition. So to deal with, a part of your question, okay, yes, we were bigger before the flood. All right, you have to think of the pressure that was upon the earth, before the flood. Okay, you would, I did a research on it. Men would have to have been bigger. Okay, it was a whole different atmosphere. So to be able to deal with the pressure that was upon the earth before the flood, okay, and you can look that study up. I'm not going to go all into it. Men, women, animals, bugs, everything had to be bigger. Everything was bigger as it took in more oxygen. All right, we're in a very low state. Okay, so the word stature, natural height of a human or animal in an upright position. Okay, so yeah, animals, the bugs, plants, grapes, apples, everything was bigger, but we're living in a time where, all right, the strength of the earth is failing ultimately through the rulership of these heathen, and things are waxing weaker. So we're of less stature than our forefathers. So going back to this question, all right, just wondering, so if there were no Nephilim, all right, now I'm not saying there were no Nephilim. I'm telling you, and we're telling you, brothers and sisters that are watching these videos, that the Nephilim, or the giants in the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter, are dealing with Adam's descendants through Seth, and that's what we're going to go through. Okay, what are all the bones that are being found all over the place of these giants? Now, if you want to study that, you can, but what we deal with here is the Holy Scriptures. So yes, men were bigger, okay, but what happens is a lot of Israelites try to bring in this creation myth and these great giants that were walking around the planet Earth, all right, who were half demon, half angel, half man, okay, which that makes no sense. Okay, half this, half that. No, you have men, okay, then you have animals, then you have the rest of the creatures in creation. You can't mix any of those, although Esau tries to do these things in his lab, okay, and the heavenly bodies were never made to mix, all right, with these earthly bodies. So you can't take a body from the heavens, all right, and come down to the earth and mix and create a master race of demons that survived the flood. That is BS, and the scriptures are not dealing with that. Okay, that is all mythology of heathens that has gotten mixed in with the Holy Scriptures, all right, to create a whole bunch of pseudoscience and mythology that was never meant. And what happens is our people, you know, as we get into Genesis, the 6th chapter, there's kind of like a disconnect. There's a disconnect to where you can't receive the truth of what this chapter is all about because you're so caught up in that mythology and knowing about giants and all of this stuff and angels coming down from heaven. All right. How does that help you, or how does that aid your understanding in this chapter? Okay. As the scriptures say, let's get that in the book of, let's see here. This is the book of Sirach, the 3rd chapter, in the 21st verse. It says, seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon. Remember, we are Israelites and we have an origin story. Okay. If I was to ask you all who wrote the first 5 books, the majority of you wouldn't be able to answer. I remember dealing with a Jake who was trying to get all into these creation myths and all of this and that. And, you know, the men were 5,000 feet tall at one point and this and that. But when I asked him basic questions about the Bible, he didn't know. So don't be one of these guys. Okay. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence, because a lot of you think the Bible in its purest form is boring. So you have to have these myths. You have to have these weird ancient philosophies to add to the Bible so that I don't know if it makes you feel more important or it makes you know. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the thing that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters. How tall were men in the ancient world before the flood? We can't give you in height. We can go into the Bible and show you that they were bigger. All right. But remember, when Moses received, okay, these the first 5 books. Let's get it real quick. We'll go right back here. 2nd Esdras, the 7th chapter, or the 14th chapter, Salakia. That's what I'm looking for. Give me 1 second here. I'll just go back here. 1 second. This computer is acting stupid. Second Esdras, the 14th chapter is what I'm looking for. 2nd Esdras, the 14th chapter. In the 3rd verse, it says, then he said unto me, in the bush did I manifestly reveal myself unto Moses and talk with him when my people served in Egypt. Okay, as he was in the land of the Midian, okay, the Lord visited him, okay, via the angel. And it says, and I sent him and led him, all right, and led my people out of Egypt and brought him up to the mount where I held him, all right, by me a long season, 40 days and 40 nights, and told him many wondrous things and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying, these words shall thou declare, and these words shall thou hide. So Moses, giving us the first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all right, leading into Joshua, is giving us our history, our origin history as a nation. All right. And it starts in the beginning, the Elohim created the heavens and the earth. All right. And then it gives you our earthly origin, starting with Adam. All right. Who would eventually have Seth. And that's what we're going to show you. OK, so as you read Genesis, the 6th chapter, that it's history. All right. That you should know about your people, not no damn giants or angels who came down from heaven. OK, and wanted to do the Uchi Coochie. That does not make sense. Spirits in the heavenly realm are not made to mix with physical human bodies on the planet Earth. Okay, that is an ancient myth that has nothing to do with the Holy Scripture. So as we go back here, okay, and give me 1 second. 2nd Esdras, the 3rd chapter, In the 23rd verse, it says, be not curious in unnecessary matters. And this is like a very, very hot topic of contention dealing with Israelites. When you deal with the Nephilim, that word is automatically tied to the Annunaki and all of this garbage that has nothing to do with the Holy Scriptures. And if that's something you believe, I'm calling it garbage. And, you know, it's no knock to you, but you believe a lie. So we're going to break down the sons of God, okay, which, here we go. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men understand. Okay, you know you're an Israelite. You're waking up. Okay, now, you know, you're going into the history. You use that as a means to understand where you are today, not as a means to get off into these weirdo philosophies. Okay, the Lord waking you up to the fact you're an Israelite is he's showing you more than men can understand. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. So here it is. We're breaking these scriptures down. And for years, every time we go into the sons of God, people want to bring in the giant, Nephilim, Annunaki, and all of this mythology that goes along with these heathen myths and creation stories. And it has nothing to do with the Holy Scriptures. Okay. So if you want to get into all of that, we're not into all of that. Okay. The Holy Scriptures dealing with the sons of God in Genesis, the 6th chapter, are Adam's descendants through Seth, as we're getting ready to show you. Okay. And when you see the term sons of God, it's not always necessarily the angels in heaven. Now, if you just type in son of God, you know, Adam was likened unto the son of God. YAHAWASHI is likened unto the son of God because he is the son of God. Adam was the son of God. All right. This our legacy starting on earth. All right. But when you type in sons of God, all right, you can go to Job and it goes into the sons of God in the heavens. All right. But as you go down and just go throughout the scriptures, John 1:21, but as many as received him, to them he gave power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Okay, so it deals with obedience, which that's what the sons of God were to be, obedient to a particular way, starting with Adam. And that history is given in 2nd Esdras, the 3rd chapter. But it seems like Jake isn't interested in that history. Jake is interested in something more. And then you get caught out into these different philosophies and you never grow. So you're one that know you're an Israelite, but you're just deep beyond measure to the point where you're a bug out. And you have many Israelites like that. Romans 8:14, for as many that as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. Okay, Philippians 2:15, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world. Okay, behold, what manner of love. And see, that's what Noah was. Okay, he was without rebuke in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation. Our nation, the Israelites, the chosen. Now, before we were called Israelites, we were known as the sons of God. Okay, which trickled down to the daughters as well. Okay, and we'll show you all of this in the Holy Scriptures, man, because we're going to keep pounding. All right, as you brothers and sisters that listen, you know this is one of my favorite topics. Okay, 1 John 3:1, behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. See? Why? Because of our obedience. As a matter of fact, in the book of Hosea, the 1st chapter, gives you insight into what's happening here with the Israelites now, as we've been cast off. But now, in these latter days, we're awakening back up. Okay, this is the book of Hosea 1:10. After we would be called a no people, after he would turn his back on us. Verse 10, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered, which was promised to Abraham. All right. And Isaiah gives us insight that a remnant will return, and it shall come to pass that in that place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall it be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. So does this mean that this is speaking of actual angels? No, we are returning back unto obedient sons of the God through taking heed. And then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together. And that's the tabernacle of David, all 12 tribes agreeing in one. Okay. So the sons of God is not always tied to the spiritual angels in the heaven. It could also be tied to those on earth who are obedient, which when you get Genesis, the 6th chapter, okay, it says the corruption of mankind. All right. It says it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born into them. Okay. That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. All right. And the very next verse says, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is also flesh. He's looking at humanity on the planet Earth, and specifically the chosen lineage. Okay. And this goes into the understanding that this flesh, we need those heavenly bodies back to rule on earth. Okay, which is what we're going to rule on earth with in the kingdom, because this flesh is what separates us from our power. He says that he is also flesh. All right. Now we'll get into the rest, but we have to first understand, as Moses is giving us this history, that he got directly from the Most High through the angel as his mediator for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, that's what the Torah is given unto us by the Most High via Moses. All right, through ultimately that angel, all right, that hovered and followed Israel, all right, out of Egypt into the wilderness. Okay, so when you go to Genesis 5, it says this is the book of the generations of Adam. Okay, Moses is giving you the generations of people on the earth. Okay, in the day God created man, in the likeness God made he him, starting with Adam. Okay, he gave him order. Okay, there were other people on the planet Earth. Adam was the first to receive order. And again, that history can be found in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 3rd chapter. Thou gavest a commandment unto Adam to love thy way, the 7th verse, which he transgressed. Okay, and it wasn't written on stone. It was just a way he was supposed to walk. So in this chapter, in Genesis, the 5th chapter, it goes through the descendants of Adam, male and female. He created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day that they were created. Okay, and Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. Okay, that's the focal point that we want to deal with. The sons of God, because Abel was slew, are Adam's descendants through Seth. Now it says in the days of Adam, after he had begotten Seth, were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. So even Adam had other sons and daughters. Okay, Moses is giving you insight of particular men and what they represented. Okay, for our people. Remember, you're tracing your lineage back to Adam through Seth. All right, which ultimately, when you read the scriptures, would eventually through Noah, through Shem, through Arphaxad, lead up to Abraham, who had Isaac, who had Jacob, who had 12 sons. And we got to keep beating that point home so that you, all right, can get it instilled in your head, because Genesis, the 5th and 6th chapter, all right, pretty much is tracking the chosen lineage. Okay, that's why when you get the book of Chronicles, it mentions Adam, Seth, and Enos. All right, and then eventually you have these names that will lead to ultimately Noah, who had Shem, the chosen, Ham, and Japheth, who survived the flood, which would lead to verse 18 in 1 Chronicles, and Arphaxad begot Selah, and Shelah begot Eber, which is where we get the term Hebrew. See that? And then it goes on. And it keeps following, and it goes all the way up to Abraham, or Abram, whose name was changed to Abraham. All right, then the descendants of Abraham. All right, Abraham had Isaac, Ishmael, and he had other sons. All right, but the chosen would go through Isaac, who had Jacob, man. Okay, so going back here to Genesis, the 5th chapter. Okay, note all of this lineage through Adam, through Seth. Okay, note it always says, all right, then you have Enos. And what happened at the time of Enos? Men began to call upon the name of the Lord. Okay, this is what you should be more worried about. All right, other than giants, man. That which is then is now. Where the hell are those giants? Where the hell are those half men, half lizard, half angel, half man creatures now? Oh, they run the world. They're behind closed doors. No, the Edomites run the world, and that's a nation of people. All right, whose lineage can be tracked in the Bible from a man land with a woman. Anyway, Seth lived around 105 years and begot Enos. And Seth lived after he begot Enos 800 years and 7 years, and he begot sons and daughters. See, all of these men had sons and daughters, and you don't know their names. All of these, and these are the lineage of Adam through Seth, the sons of God. They all had sons and daughters, so there was a lot of them multiplying in the planet Earth. Okay, and as you get all the way down, you get to Enoch, who we know was beamed up. He had Methuselah. These are notable names, but they all had sons and daughters, and the sons and daughters eventually would have sons and daughters. Okay, but the one thing, this lineage, that what separated this lineage from the other lineages on the planet Earth, is that they were to be the ones that kept to the ways of righteousness and showed the heathen how to live. But because of disobedience, they fell. So remember, all of these men had sons and daughters. Okay, and then eventually you see Noah. He comes from that lineage. Okay, so all of these sons and daughters of these particular men you see being listed. All right, notice you don't see any of the names of the mothers, because our lineage, or all lineages, are tracked through the fathers. Okay, so you see Noah pop up here, and that leads us into Genesis, the 6th chapter. Okay, here it is. Moses is giving you the lineage of Adam through Seth. He also gave you in chapter 4 the lineage of Adam through Cain, okay, who was of that wicked one. Just as Isaac had Jacob and Esau, Cain had Cain and Abel, and then eventually Seth. Okay, so you mean to tell me all of these descendants of the men we just read about, who were having sons and daughters in Genesis, the 5th chapter, all of a sudden disappear, and the Lord, all right, used Moses to tell you about some damn fallen angels who came to the earth and slept with women? No, it's still speaking of that lineage. Okay, now we jump into chapter 6. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born into them. All right, because all nations were multiplying, not just the chosen lineage, but the Bible tracks the chosen lineage, and it also tracks Cain's lineage. But there were other nations around as well. Okay, and we know Cain's lineage were wicked. Okay, it gives you their lineage in Genesis, the 4th chapter. They were there as well, having sons and daughters. And what happens when Israel gets mingled among wicked? They start to take on their customs. So it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born into them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men, all right, the heathen nations, that they were fair, okay, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Let's read this in the NLT. Okay, NLT, the sons of God saw the beautiful women and they took any they wanted as their wives. And we know what this led to. Jake making actual marriages with heathen, taking on their customs, and total confusion and chaos follows. Okay? And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. And that's how long Noah preached, but also, you know, as time went, all right, our age, we wouldn't live as long as we did. Now, what I want to do is go to this commentary, all right, Matthew Henry commentary on Genesis, the 6th chapter, all right. It says the most remarkable thing we have upon record concerning the old world. Remember, Moses is giving you a record of the old world as he was given it. All right. Now, these heathen nations have their record and their creation myths and their stories. The Lord used Moses to give you the real one as an Israelite. Okay. It's not up to you to go and mix all of this mythology into the scriptures to make yourself feel better about yourself. Again, Sirach 3:23, be not curious in unnecessary matters, for the more things are showed unto thee than men understand. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. Without eyes thou shalt want light. Profess not the knowledge, therefore thou hast not. Okay? And that's what you all are doing, trying to add in this garbage of 5,000-foot men, and they found the bones. Look, Esau can say any goddamn thing. Now, of course, like we showed you, men were bigger. Okay? A stubborn heart shall fare evil at the last, and he that loveth danger shall perish therein. And y'all living at a time where the Lord is getting ready to bring judgment. He's sending his prophets to give you the understanding, but you still want to stick to that madness. Now, that particular brother who left the comment, okay, you may be sincere, so this is no slight to you, but we just coming how we come. All right, we gotta bring it straight forward. So Genesis 6, this is Matthew Henry, a so-called Bible scholar, which they get some things right and they get some things wrong. Okay, now let's read what they say. Now, historically, they be on point with the history, but when it comes to prophecies and everything else, they usually go left. But it says the most remarkable thing we have upon record concerning the old world is the destruction of it by universal, all right, deluge, which was the flood, and the account of which commences in this chapter wherein we have it. All right, the abounding wicked iniquity of that wicked world. All right. And he's just going into, you know, what was going on. It says, lastly, Noah's obedience to the instructions given unto him, which had been passed down from Adam through Seth. But eventually, as we got amongst these heathen, we started to do wickedness, man. Okay? And this concerning the old world is written for our admonition. Whose admonition? The chosen lineage. That's what you're supposed to be reading these stories to understand where you went wrong, not to try to figure out, all right, if men were 9,000 feet tall and getting into Esau's garbage, man, and the garbage of those ancient Sumerians. Okay, this is what we're here to warn you, man. This is deadly serious. Now, he's saying "are" because they think the Bible is this universal book for all nations. No, the Bible is history, prophecy. Okay, it gives you a creation story. Okay, and everything else concerning the chosen lineage from Adam through Seth. Okay, now the heathen nations have their stories and creation myths, which some of the history is accurate, but it's not according, all right, to the chosen lineage. They give their perspectives, and what Jake does is you go into those things, which many of those things are in the book of Enoch and Jasher and a bunch of other garbage, okay, which, again, we do have writings that ultimately are not in the Bible, okay, We understand that. We teach and know that. Again, we just read that there were particular things Moses didn't record for us to have. But he saw it. He heard it. He it was given unto him, but he didn't give it to us. We have what we need, all right, to be justified by faith. Okay? So Noah's obedience during a time of the sons of God, which we read about, doing wickedness is what you need to be worried about. And you got to try to be in that spirit now, because Noah is likened unto the remnant. Okay? Let's get that in the book of Sirach, the 44th chapter. We'll get into the stories. Just want to, hey, you know how I do it. Just laying things out. Because every year is like we get these questions. Now I know and understand some are just now tuning in, and we just got to go over it again. It's just repetition. All right, Sirach 44 and 17. All right, it went to Enoch, which he was of the lineage of the sons of God. When we read Genesis, the 5th chapter. All right, remember there was also an Enoch in Cain's lineage. That's not the same as the Enoch, okay, in Seth's lineage, going back to Adam. It says, Noah was found perfect and righteous, and in the time of wrath he was taken for an exchange for the world. Therefore he was left as a remnant unto the earth when the flood came. And we want to be in that stead. That's what the remnant represents. In the time of wrath, in this time where fire is coming, we want to be in the spirit of Noah as we're building the ark and not partaking in the wicked practices that our brothers and sisters are doing in the earth. Our wicked brothers and sisters, they're tripping. Okay? Doing all manner of evil and wickedness. Okay? Worshiping idols, living like the heathen. And you know they were being influenced by Cain's lineage. So going back here, all right. So Noah's obedience and this concerning the old world is written for our admonition, all right, our warning upon whom the ends of the new would have come, all right. And see, we deal with it according to the chosen lineage. All right, now I'm gonna just jump to the point. Okay, it says number 2, he's given, particular history and, but here it says mixed marriages, which when we go to the history of Jake, the Israelites, okay, marrying amongst the heathen has always been our downfall. All right. And there's a difference between a wife and a concubine. Jake would take the heathen and try to make them wives, where you join households. All right. This is why you are to marry amongst your own for inheritance purposes. Heathen have nothing to do with inheritance purpose amongst our nation. Now, under us being established, we can, tell the heathen, you go here, you go there, but they ain't supposed to be linked with us to the point where they're God's forward. Okay. And they start to, be joint. And that's what Solomon did. That's what the Israelites did at the time of Nehemiah and Ezra, where they were raising their children and they weren't even speaking Hebrew. They were speaking of the language of the heathen, going too far, tripping. And they were told to put away, all right, those wives and children, because it was deadly serious to get in order. So mixed marriages, the sons of God, and that which is then is now. So what we see happening with the sons of God, we can see happening with the Israelites in various different captivities. Solomon is one of the most notable examples, building temples to the heathen gods. Okay. So he would have a marriage, and Molech would be joined unto the God of Israel. That's where confusion comes in. And we have a history of that. Okay. Mixed marriages, the sons of God, that is the professors of religion who will call by the name of the Lord and call upon that name. The sons of God are ultimately the chosen lineage, the Israelites, before they were called Israelites. Israelites means, all right, prince of the power is really pretty much the same thing. Sons of God. Catch on. You see sons of God and you automatically think angels in the heaven came to the earth, which the spirits in the heaven did eventually come to the earth, but that was through a man and a woman having sex. And those spirits came to the earth and they were supposed to rule under Adam. But here's the point. It says, married the daughters of men, that is, those that were profane and strangers to God and godliness. The posterity of Seth, see, did not keep by themselves as they ought to have done, both the preservation of their own purity and in detestation of the apostasy. See, they went off. What is apostasy? Let's look it up. Goodness gracious, man. We're going to look up apostasy. Apostasy is what was going on with the sons of God. You all just don't get enough of this whole, the Annunaki, and that Dabu 7 spirit. Apostasy is the abandonment or renunciation of a religious or political belief. Now, for years we were saying the Lord didn't give us religion, but we do have a religion. A religion is pretty what you religiously do. We were given ways of righteousness according to the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? And that was given to Adam first. Renunciation of belief, but abandonment of a belief, which when you go into the history of the sons of God, as we'll get in 2nd Esdras, the 3rd chapter, starting with Eve, then eventually Adam, which that was symbolic ultimately too of the church, which would be the sons of God, going off. Okay, and not following after their husband. As Paul tells us, I have espoused you to one husband. Okay, so the apostasy with the lineage and posterity of Seth is what is going on here in Genesis, the 6th chapter. Okay, and I looked up articles on it. Okay, and there's others who bring out the same thing. Okay, I never really looked it up like that outside of this commentary years ago, I remember. All right, but we learned this through our apostles and elders that the sons of God, all right, were the sons of Seth. All right, going back to Adam, Adam's lineage through Seth. You see? But over the years, we started to look into it, and then we see even the particular scholars know and understand this. Okay? As you can see, the descendants of Seth as the sons of God. There are at least a few people who believe that the reference of the sons of God in Genesis is a reference to the righteous descendants of Seth. See that? YAHAWASHI refers to his followers as his brothers and sisters and as sons and daughters of God. So this needs not to refer to angels. See, when people see sons of God, they automatically think angelic beings, which the natural body and the spiritual body don't mix. They both have one glory, according to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. One glory is given to one, all right, and another glory is given to another. Okay? Now, when we get into the kingdom, we will have extraterrestrial bodies, all right, heavenly bodies that are made to dwell on earth. Okay? And as the scriptures say, we know not what we shall be. All right. It said these people having to have kept the commandments of God, which again, what was given unto Adam? 2nd Esdras 3:7. And unto him thou gavest a commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointest death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. And everyone walked after their own will and did wonderful things and despised thy commandments And again, in the process of time, thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwelt in the world and destroyed them. You see, it's simple. If you stick to the script, you see? These people having kept to the commandments of God, having abstained from the wantonness of lust of the descendants of Cain. See, that's another thing. People don't understand the descendants of Cain, which was the wicked one. They were the Edomites of their time. So what you see Esau doing now, Cain and his lineage were doing back then. And you can go into the Josephus and different history books, and it breaks it down. Cain was called the wicked one. Okay? They were there. You can keep reading this. All right? But I just found this article today, and he's going into it. Okay? And most people, all right, most people, just like we were told not to mix with the Canaanites and the heathen, make marriages amongst them. See, that's what was happening here in Genesis, the 6th chapter. The same thing you see happening. Let's get Psalms 106. Psalms 106. You just get to the point. In 35. But were mingled among the heathen, and learned their works, and served their idols, which were a snare unto them. And they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan. Remember, we were told not to deal with those Canaanites. Okay, so that which is then is now. Comprende? Okay, Jake been doing this. We ain't new to this. We true to this. This is why the remnant are here in the earth, to break the cycle of disobedience. Okay? So, let's go back to Genesis 6. And I had another article as well. All right, the sons of God, or sons of Seth, an examination of the Nephilim, which people, that Nephilim thing, boy, you just know it's a blue giant. Okay, with a tattoo, it was just weirdo stuff, man. No, man. Okay, and at some point, there's particular things you just got to understand. The Lord will show us all of that once we get to the point where we're back right at one with our power. Then you'll know how tall men were, and the exactly how we differ from how we look. But all of that ain't really important right now. We know men were bigger. That's enough. We know we were stronger. We were of a different stature back then. But when you start to add all of this weirdo stuff, then you become weird. And there's a lot of weird ass Israelites looking out the corner of their eyes, okay, trying to get into the Bible, man. One of the most misunderstood, ignored, interpreted, confusing, difficult, unbelievable, and just weird biblical facts is the story of Genesis and the sons of God. Okay, and I'm not going to even read anymore because I'm breaking it down. But damn, it is. And you still got Israelites that are, oh no, man. So we're going to go back, Genesis 6:1, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, all of these nations, and amongst them nations you had the chosen lineage. All right, as the scriptures say, of Adam come all nations and the people whom thou hast chosen. Okay, I believe that's in 2nd Esdras, the 3rd chapter. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. 2nd Esdras, maybe 6. Second Esdras chapter 6 and 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, Of him come we all, and the people whom thou hast chosen. Okay, Moses is just giving you a breakdown, man, of how it went down. And Jake, you look into it just to get more weird. You're supposed to get more understanding, man. That's what this is given unto you for. And the Bible is written in parabolic form and in symbols, okay? Because we're a spiritual people. We're supposed to catch on. But soon as Jake see the Son of God and giants, they lose all understanding, and that's the focus of this chapter. And the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. All right, they were mingled among the heathen and start marrying amongst them, and we know the rest is history. Okay, Solomon is a great example of what we were doing, tripping. Okay, rebelling against the commandments, and the commandments were oral back then, were we reading. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days. Okay. And also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare them children, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Okay, men of renown. Now, when you look up this name, renown, put you on something real quick. What's that name? Shem. Okay, Shem, men of Shem. Name, reputation, fame, glory. Memorial, monument, the chosen people of the Lord, which are likened unto a monument unto this day. Okay. Shem, all right, was the heavenly father tracking that chosen lineage, which would lead to our facts ad, which would eventually on down the line, Eber, Peleg, and eventually Abraham, whose father was Terah. That's what the Bible is talking about. Okay, men of reputation, men of fame. Okay, and it also means name. Shawam, to be appointed. Okay, to constitute the fashion of his hands. But we failed because of the flesh. And ultimately, the Lord made us subject to vanity so that the story can be what it is. Okay. So there were giants in the earth in those days. Okay. We're going to look up the word giant. Okay. Now, yes, we were bigger, but it's more so our reputation and who we were. We were like the giants of that day. But it also, giants, Nephilim, when you go to the root word, all right, Paul, it just means to fall. Okay, as I put the scripture to this brother, okay, because the question again is just wondering, so if there's no Nephilim, see, now we're not saying there were no Nephilim, okay, there were the Nephilim, okay, but it's not according to that garbage that has been synonymously linked with it over the years. Just wondering, so if there's no Nephilim, which Nephilim is this word. That word, all right, comes from what we're reading here, Nepal. Nepal, all right, to fall, to be inferior to. We chose inferior ways. We fell away from the righteous way. And the scripture I left, all right, here's my answer. Men were bigger before the flood. But the Nephilim in Genesis 6 are talking about the descendants of Adam through Seth who fell away. If you want to get into the study of giants, then you can do that. That's on you. All right. But we stick to the scriptures, and here's the history. And I posted, all right, second Esdras from the NSV, and we're going to read that as well. But here's another scripture I gave him, second Esdras 7:48. O thou Adam, what hast thou done? For though it was thou that sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but we all that come of thee. See, we all that come of thee is tracked in the Holy Scriptures through Seth, because Abel was slew. Okay? That's how the sons of God are tracked, through Seth, okay, and eventually through Noah, who had Shem, okay, which is of that lineage, if you put the pieces together. Okay, so to fall a violent death, which we always bring this out, okay, to waste away, to be inferior. All right, as the scriptures say, there will be a falling away. We fell in this time, right? But we're awakening up, okay? And it was due to our rebelliousness. And that same word, as we always bring out, we must bring it out again, is used, okay? And to give you the good, a better understanding, all you have to do is go to Psalms 82. All right. And what he says to the chosen men. Psalms 82:6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Fall like one of the princes. Okay. So the Lord made us to be immortal, but due to our rebelliousness, we eventually pined away, and we are now in this estate, a low estate. But that word fall like one of the princes, we were gods, and we still are, but we have to go through this this fall, Nepal, okay? To be inferior, to be overthrown, to fall, okay? And there you go. That's what happened. The sons of God fell away. Now let's get the book of Baruch 3:26, okay? I'll start at 24. It says, O Israel, how great is the house of God, and how large is the place of his possession. Great, and none, and hath none in, high and unmeasurable. Okay. There were giants famous from the beginning. Famous. They were famous. Okay. Everybody looked at them like, wow. This is a special group of people. They even do it now, but look at what we're doing. Okay, there were giants famous from the beginning that were of so great stature and so experts in war. Okay, this is speaking of our people. This is not talking about no damn angel mixed with human being, man. Okay, again, that's impossible for an angel to come to the earth and have sex with a woman and a child comes out. Okay, we were the ones that were of great stature and so expert in war. See, we were of a great stature back then. Okay, and when it describes YAHAWASHI in the book of Second Esdras, as he saw in a vision crowning the elect, it talks about how Second Esdras 2:43, in the midst of them there was a young man of high stature, taller than all the rest. So we're going to return back to how we were supposed to look, but it's going to be an extraterrestrial body. We're going to rule, all right, in our heavenly bodies on earth. So it's going to be extraterrestrial. And we've never done that as a nation, ruled in our heavenly estate on earth. Okay? See, this flesh is what separated. So going back here, remember the Lord said they are but flesh. I can't dwell in them fully with that flesh. There were giants famous from the beginning. Moses gave you that history. Baruch is giving you that history, that were so great stature and so experts in war. The Lord did not, all right, those did not the Lord choose, all right, to get it perfect, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. Remember, the creature was made subject to vanity. Just get that. Hopefully this is making sense. And hopefully, You all can send this to your Nephilim friends who believe in, all of these myths. Okay? And look what this guy says. After years of studying many different religions and myths, I am led to believe that most of what I have learned has too many similarities to another that one cannot wonder if all originates from the same source. You see, when you take that mindset, you start to mix and mingle all of these philosophies, and now you're on our comment board, all right? And I'm not talking to that brother, but we've received some comments about this topic that are far out, and you become far out to the point where you ain't on earth no more. You ain't dealing with reality, okay? And we broke down how a lot of these myths are parallel. You even have the myth of Osiris and Ra. You even have the myth of Semiramis Tammuz. And what people try to say is that the story of the Messiah being born was stolen from those, which no, that's not true. And I got a lesson going into that. Okay? If you need that lesson, just ask. But it was recently loaded too, so shouldn't be hard to find. As a matter of fact, the name of that video is... see here. Yep, here we go. They preach another savior. We preach the correct one. And I'm going into history on how some of these myths and things were eventually added to the Bible, because from the beginning, a child that was going to be born to restore the chosen seed to righteousness was already talked about. A lot of people think that YAHAWASHI just pops up in the New Testament. Well, he's actually spoken about all over the Old Testament, even in the Torah. Okay? So going back, okay, Baruch 3:26, there were giants famous from the beginning that were of so great stature and so experts in war. Those did not the Lord choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. Okay, and that goes into what we were going to look up here. Romans 8:20, for the creature, all right, which people, when they think creature, they just think the creature just means a living being. Okay, the chosen creature comes from Adam through Seth, which would eventually lead to the Israelites being established, the 12 tribes. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who have subjected the same in hope. Because in this time we will be justified by faith, the faith of Abraham, which he was of the sons of God. He was of that chosen lineage, which would be as the sand of the sea in the latter days. So the creature was made subject to vanity. And we were made subject to this because the Lord could have made it to where we were perfect from the beginning. Okay? Against its will, all creation was subjected to God's curse, but with eager hope. All right. And that's really speaking of the chosen, the sons of God, man. Okay. Adam. All right. Because we didn't want to go off, but that's how the Lord wrote the story. Because the creature itself shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption, this flesh, into the glorious liberty of the children of God, where will be in us. We will have the law, statutes, commandments in our inward parts. We won't sin. We won't go off. We will be above the heathen. This is what the Bible is talking about, man. Hopefully this is making sense. Okay. Give me 1 second here. Well, Edomites are through. He ain't got it, boy. All right. All right. Baruch 3:27. Those did not the Lord choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. But they were destroyed because they had no wisdom and perished through their own foolishness. See that? And perished through their own foolishness. Just type in giants here. I always do this. Let's get this. Ecclesiastes 6:6, and the congregation of the ungodly shall be a fire be kindled, and in a rebellious nation wrath is set on fire. And that's what's coming to the 2/3. He was not pacified towards the old giants who fell away. Nephilim, that's what Nephilim means. So you ask the average person who's bringing this Nephilim stuff out what Nephilim means, and ask them basic history, they never know. Who fell away in the strength of their foolishness. Neither he spared the place where Lot sojourned. And there was Lot was one of the sons of God. See, a lot of people get it twisted. All right. Those were descendants of Adam through Seth as well. Lot is a part of that. All right. But Abram is ultimately the chosen one who the Lord used as a figurehead to restore us not only to the land, but back to the Heavenly Father through faith. Very important, man. So the old giants fell away in the strength of their foolishness, man. Okay? A foolish nation. As a matter of fact, okay, we ourselves are likened unto a foolish nation through our acts in particular points in history. So it should be very easy once linking the story together that the sons of God ultimately just went off, man. Okay? So foolish was I. Yep. Proverbs 9:6. Forsake the foolish and live and go in the way of understanding. They weren't doing that back then. And we weren't doing that in this time. The remnant doing that, though. Okay? I mean, there's various scriptures. Jeremiah 5:21. Hear now this, O foolish people, and without understanding, which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not. Jeremiah 10:8. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. All right. The stock is as a doctrine of vanities. That's what our people have took on. The doctrine of vanities. Okay. Even in the New Testament. In Rome, what were we doing? Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened into the abyss. Like Dabu 7. Y'all better stop listening to that garbage. Y'all got to learn how to pick out the meat and leave the bones where they are, man. Romans 2:20, instructor of the foolish. That's the Gentiles that were coming out of that idol worship. God have chosen the foolish things of the world because ultimately the foolish ones would have faith, man. So the old giants who fell away in the strength of their foolishness are your forefathers and foremothers who were doing wickedness. Point blank period, man. And we go finish it off in the book of 2 Esdras, the 3rd chapter. All right, and this is Wisdom of Solomon 14, which this chapter deals with what? You know, the idols. Okay, Wisdom of Solomon 14:5. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives unto a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. All right, that's Noah in them. Okay, why did the flood come? For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, all right, the hope of the world governed by the hand escaped in a weak vessel, left to all ages a seed of generation. And ultimately that would be through Noah. But the proud giants, okay, when you read it, pretty much verse 11, therefore even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of God they are become an abomination and stumbling block to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. You see, we were corrupted by these idols and by these various different practices, which is why when we got amongst these heathen, the Lord would always make it a point to say, look, let's get it. What did he say? As we got amongst these heathen, what did the Lord say? Deuteronomy 12:21, when the Lord thy God shall cut off the nations from before thee, whither thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their land, which it was our land from the beginning. Remember, Melchizedek was the king of Salem, Jerusalem. All right, even though we had heathen ruling there, that land belongs to him, and we are going to be joint heirs with him in returning to that land. Okay? Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following after them, after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. And this is what happened when Jake took on the knowledge of evil, ate of that fruit and philosophy that led to us falling, man. Thou shalt not do unto the Lord thy God, for every abomination of YAHAWAH, which he hated, have they done unto their God. So if you're calling on Jesus Christ, if you're mixing all of these idols and different philosophies into the scriptures, you're going off. Okay? You got to stick to the script. Okay? You got to stick to the script, man. Okay? So we're going to end it. Okay? And we're going to read this out of the RSV version of the Apocrypha. Okay? I'll start at 2nd Esdras 3 and 30. This is Ezra, our forefather. Okay? Of the tribe of Levi. Okay? At the time the Babylonians, destroyed the temple. All right, he was used as one of the ones who went out and preached to the people, as eventually we were given a decree to go back and rebuild the temple. Okay. It said, my spirit was greatly agitated, and I began to speak ancient words to the Most High, and said, O sovereign Lord, all right, didst thou not speak at the beginning when thou didst form the earth, and that without help? Okay. And didst command the dust, all right, and it gave thee Adam a lifeless body, all right, because at one point Adam didn't have the understanding. At one point, all right, because Adam had a mother and a father, he tells you that himself, all right, that when he got Eve, man shall cleave to his wife and leave his mother and father, or father and mother, all right, but there was one point before the breath of life was breathed into Adam, okay, that he was just, all right, living. He was alive, but he wasn't living, if you get what I'm saying. To live is to truly have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay, it says, yet he was the workmanship of thine hands, okay, and thou didst create and breathe unto him the breath of life, which is the understanding. He gave him instruction. He gave him the laws. And he was made alive in thy presence. See, he was living, okay, but he was made alive once he got that understanding. And thou didst lead him into the garden which thy right hand had planted before the earth ever appeared. All right, because we were made to rule on the earth. Okay. And it says, and thou didst lay upon him one commandment of thine, but he transgressed it, and immediately thou appointest death in him and for his descendants. Okay. Now, of course, humanity fell, but the Bible is tracking the chosen lineage. Okay. The creature in whom he gave the laws. Okay. Starting with him. And then it was Abel who was slew, then Seth, then who had Enos, and then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. Okay. From him there sprang nations and tribes and people in clans without number. Okay? And it's still speaking of the chosen lineage. Even Jacob, it was told, look, kings and many nations are going to come out of your loins. Did all of the heathen nations come out of Jacob's loins? No, only the Israelites. Okay? And it says, and every nation walked after its own will and did ungodly things before thee and scorned thee, and thou didst not hinder them. All right. The creature was made subject to vanity. But again, in its time, thou didst bring the flood upon the inhabitants of the world and destroyed them. And the same fate befell them as death came upon Adam, so the flood upon them. But thou didst leave one of them, okay, them, Noah with his household, and all righteous who have descended from him. Okay, Noah was of that lineage. When you go to Genesis 6, Adam's lineage is traced and tracked, and it leads to Noah, who the Lord told what? So lock your Genesis, the 5th chapter, is what I was supposed to be looking at. The descendants of Adam, it traces you all the way to Noah. And what was said of Noah? Genesis 5:29, and he called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord cursed. So the blessing would ultimately of that, chosen lineage and, those who did right, ultimately we would be comforted through Noah. Okay? So Noah was of this lineage. Okay? And what did we read? Okay? But thou didst leave, verse 11 in 2nd Esdras 3, but thou didst leave one of them, Noah, with his household, and all the righteous who have descended from him. Okay? And a flood came upon Jake, the whole world, but Jake is at the forefront of it. Just like, look at Jake right now. They're the mascot to the alphabet agenda. That's pretty much become your culture. But Noah, Genesis 6 and 9, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with the Most High. Okay? Just as Enoch walked with the Most High, meaning the Lord was dealing with him. Okay? So all the corruption that was going on, okay, Noah of his family, okay, Genesis 7 and 1, and and God said unto Noah, YAHAWAH said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for in thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Heavy. All right. So the name of the Lord is a strong tower. Proverbs 18 and 10. The righteous run into it and is safe. Okay. Luke 17 and 26. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. So where in the hell are the giants? They're here. Okay, playing for the Lakers. Okay, they're doing the cha-cha slide, doing the butterfly, creating all manner of wickedness at the head of the LGB, all right, QXYZ movement, shooting one another, doing wickedness. Not listening to the ones who are coming in a lot of Noah, okay, the ones who are out on the highways and the byways. And how in the hell can you drown a demon, an angel comes onto the earth, has sex with women, then they're flooded and drowned out? But according to Elder Recall of GOCC, no, they didn't get flooded. They held on to the boat and survived. So it's time to let go of all of that wickedness, man. Okay? Second Esdras 3:12. When those who dwelt on the earth began to multiply, they produced children and peoples and many nations. And then again, they become more ungodly than were their ancestors. See? And they were committing iniquity before thee. Thou didst choose for thyself one of them whose name was Abraham. You see, it's following that lineage. And when you go to Genesis, the 11th chapter, the time of the Tower of Babel, Jake was doing the same wickedness, helping to build the Tower of Babel, but it was the descendants of Shem, okay, through our faxad, who stuck to the traditions. You know, Eber is where we get Hebrew, the language and legacy from the past, continued through him, through Peleg, and eventually there was another falling away here at the time of Nahor, which means to sleep or snore, all right, and then Terah, which we know according to the book of Joshua 24, okay, Joshua 24, what do we know about Terah, which was Abram's father, or Abraham's father? Let's get that in the book of Joshua 24, and we'll end it off, because the point was made. Okay, this is Joshua 24 and 1. And Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem and called for the elders of Israel and for their heads and for their judges and for their officers, and they presented themselves before God. And Joshua said unto all the people, Thus saith Yahawah, the God of Israel, your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood, all right, even Terah. All right. Now, when you look this up, it's really talking about on the other side of the Euphrates River, because they were born in Ur of the Chaldees. Look this up. NLT. Joshua said to the people, This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abram and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates River, and they worshipped other gods. See, that is what this history is going into. It's still tracing that lineage. And it's interesting that when you look up the Annunaki, okay, it takes you back to that very region where Abram was born, who would eventually become Abraham. He was born in Ur of the Chaldees. That's Sumeria. Okay? So the same gods and deities and weirdoism that empire, okay, took on, ancient Babylon, okay, the Tower of Babel, that's all in this same region where this Annunaki mess started. The Annunaki are believed to be immortal ancient gods that inhabited the earth during the Sumerian time in Mesopotamia. The true, all right, gods are the chosen lineage, and we were made to be immortal, but through death, all right, we waxed weaker. But as you can see, okay, because that's where, as we were just reading in the book of Joshua, okay, they dwelt at the river Euphrates, man. They dwelt over in that region. Okay, Ur of the Chaldees. That's where ultimately Abraham was born, but he was born learning of the idols of that, you know, landmass, the idols of that time. That's why it says Terah served other gods, and the Lord took Abram and separated him from that. That's what's happening to us. But as you can see, the very same gods, the Anunnaki and all of that stuff, is what's being linked to the Bible now by Jake again. Okay? And they link it to aliens and fallen angels, and it becomes endless. All right? And then you start tripping. So that which is then is now, even in that sense, that Jake is bringing back those idols in weird myth stories of the ancient Sumerian Empire, which is Babel. What does Babel mean? Confusion. So the sons of God were of that lineage, which were born through Adam and Eve. Okay, they did not fall from the heavens and go through the planet Earth, and now eventually, there's this master race of demons who survived the flood. No, stop with that garbage. Again, stop linking the Annunaki and all of this garbage to the Bible. It is not doing you any good, and you're not learning the truth of who you are through that. So we'll leave that there, and hopefully y'all were edified. On to the next. Shalom.